And I say to you, my brothers and sisters, hell is a deep, dark, foul-smelling prison of the damned, filled with fire and brimstone, lost souls and demons. And how do you escape this eternal damnation? You blast the nasty demons right between their beady little eyes.
Doom for the 64-bit Jaguar, the best Doom ever.
Hello everybody, we're here to talk about Doom 1 and Doom 2. I am Nick Hodges, with me today is Professor Jeff, and he's kindly given me the wheel to drive this little review, since I've taken on board to do it myself. I just want to say,
just drive on the right side of the road, Nick. We're in America.
Oh, yeah,
we're in America right now, so...
God damn it, I'm so used to driving on the left, but alright, okay. So, bear with me if I make some mistakes here and there, but I'm just giving this my best shot, so... Alright, so this Doom 1 and 2 I played on the Doom 3 BFG edition, and I gotta say it's been the first time I've played these games in years. Like, last time I played...
Okay, wait, hold on. I gotta do a record scratch here for a second. Seriously, man, account for yourself. Why haven't you played Doom? Tell me why you haven't played Doom. It's a classic. It is...
I did play it. I was just saying that the last time I played it, I was probably 6 years old.
Okay.
Maybe 7. And it was at the library in my local neighborhood, and I was praying that I play on the computer, and my mum didn't catch me playing it since I was a bit too young to be playing it at the time. But I loved it back then. It was like the coolest video game at the time, like, you know, shooting demons and all of that. There was blood and gore. Bodies didn't disappear, so you could appreciate the carnage that you just unleashed upon hell.
You know, people tend to forget that back in the days when Doom originally came out, like, there was no internet, and networking was, you know, was something that generally happened at a corporate level. So anywhere in the world where there were like 3 computers hooked up on any kind of rudimentary network, there was at least one person that was like, I'm going to put Doom on that. We're going to put Doom on that, and we're going to totally play multiplayer, because it was just something that didn't happen very often. Multiplayer was still very much in its infancy. And I mean, I remember back, there used to be places that you pay like, you know, $5-10 an hour to just go into this building and sit down at a station with 4 computers and just play Doom. And that was something that was worth that amount of money to people, because there was no internet. Well, I guess there was, you know, BBSs and things like that, but...
It doesn't really count, though.
No, definitely not.
But it was definitely like a niche thing. I think loads of people at work, definitely in offices, would just install Doom secretly onto their computers, and during their lunchtime, they would quickly play it and get their friends to appreciate the game that they were playing, and get everyone to join in.
Yeah, I mean, Doom is, I mean, it was massive when it came out, especially because it was a shareware game originally, which meant that it could, you know, people were just giving it to each other. You get it in a CD, on it, pretty much anything. You get it in Captain Crunch, you know, you get a copy of Doom. It was just the first episode, and they were like, hey, go buy the rest at the store, because that was, you know, that was the way you got that stuff out there those days. But I mean, like, Doom was one of those games that got... Parents' rights groups were like, this is destroying our children. They're going to become violent, psychopathic killers. Which, you know...
Was it really that bad, like the reception this got?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, the thing... For the time... you know, there weren't a lot of... I mean, Doom was kind of one of the first ones. You had stuff like Wolfenstein before that, but Doom had this level... And one of the biggest things about Doom was it had a lot of, like, the demons and satanic imagery and all of this blood and violence, and, like, the face of your guy would get bloodier and bloodier. And it was kind of a time when those things hadn't really been seen all that much in video games. So you think about, you know, the time in video games that you're talking about, it was still, I mean, you know, it was coming along, but it was still pretty primitive. So suddenly you had this game with this heavy metal soundtrack. I mean, you know, comparatively so.
I was about to say, was it really heavy metal? It sounded quite chill out some of the times when I was leaving that game on pause. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, there were times where I was playing this game where, like, to make it feel more like I was in hell, I'll put on the Hellraiser soundtrack in the background.
Yeah, people listen to that and they hear that. And it was like, but at the time we were hearing in our heads like, I mean, that was when you think about the way that computer music sounded, or the way that music for video games sounded, like, this is obviously way before symphonic stuff. This is back when it was all still MIDI. But yeah, it was considered to be, I mean, there was a chainsaw that you got to chew dudes up with, and it was definitely the sort of thing where all the same shit you hear these days about video games turning children into obsessive compulsive psychopathic killers, Doom had that too. Doom was probably the first one to have that. It went from D&D to Doom, and then Mass Effect and its sex scenes or whatever. But the thing is that, Nick, if you were playing it when you were 6, technically, if they were correct, you should be like Dexter right now. You should have just an uncontrollable urge to murder everything around you all the time.
Well, it's funny how always the people who assume that this will happen have never actually played these games themselves. So they only hear it like from word of mouth on what the game actually has. But you play it, you can see that has satanic imagery, like people being hung up by chains, but really it just looks like pictures on the wall. You got like a red floor, which is supposed to be, a pool of blood or whatever, but it's just very simplistic. I mean, games are a lot more violent these days, but we've just grown more accustomed to it. Mm-hmm. But even though it's such an old game, I still got to appreciate the fact that the fact that when you kill these people, these demons, the body stayed. Like even in Doom 3, whenever you killed a demon, their body disappeared, and that always used to piss me off.
Yeah.
Apart from the human characters.
So what you're saying is, I don't know, maybe there was an effect after all. You're like, what I really like about this game is the giant piles of bloody corpses.
Definitely.
That's really the part that I look forward to.
Yeah. And the fact that when I use the shotgun and I fire it into a crowd of these human zombies, like, my one shell will hit like 3 of them, kill them at the same time. I'm like, yeah, I feel like a fucking badass.
Well, Let's talk a little bit about what the game is about.
Oh God, I don't know if you could really do that. It's quite harsh if you ask me that, because the game just drops you in, like, boom. There's no explanations to what's going on. I mean, every now and again, once you finish enough chapters, there'll be a long text scroll that takes ages to read, and quite often I would just kind of skip things through because I'd just be wanting to hit the next level. Mm-hmm. But generally, it's kind of like, there's been an invasion of hell, and at some parts you actually have to go to hell itself and defeat this demon and close the portal and save Earth, practically.
Okay, so a family story, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, family story, yeah.
Fun for the whole family.
But fuck the story, nobody gives a shit about the story, it's all about the gameplay itself. Now, when I was playing this game, it felt like I was on speed or something, because I don't know what it is, but is the ground in the levels like coated with axle grease, because you're just sprinting from one side of the level to the other. And there's also a sprint button. You're walking faster than most normal video game characters do today. Like you're actually going from one side of them to the other in faster than the speed of light. So it gives that whole run and gun thing that I've been missing, recently in the modern games.
When I started playing it, I was like, wow, this is a lot faster. And then I reflexively at one point jammed down on the left trigger to try to aim, which of course, doesn't exist in this game. And suddenly your guy is just like, you're just like running into walls, running off the side of stuff. You got like 10 demons behind you, just like, what the fuck? I mean, it's basically just like engaging the flash mode. You just, take off, which, I mean, it's, I think that, that works out a lot better because all of the action on this game takes place on a horizontal plane. There is no looking up or down.
Yeah, that's quite unfair, because some of the demons could look up and down, or definitely shoot you from a high place. I mean, basically the only way to really fight is just to point your gun in the general direction and just pray that those bullets will hit them. And quite often it does. Mm-hmm. So I've got to give the game some credit that it is effective that way. It's very quick and easy. So in fact, I think this would be the perfect game for first-person shooter players to have a crack at, because it'll give them an idea of how these FPSs work.
Well, it is interesting. I've always wondered about how people who never came up through the Wolfenstein and Doom style of gameplay, I mean, maybe this is a question that you can answer, but I mean, you played this back in the old days. There's definitely an evolution of the first-person shooter, and this is one of the first steps. So, there isn't a reload button. There isn't a crosshair. You can't move your camera up and down. It's just all on this flat horizontal plane, and it's all about just shooting guys as fast as you possibly can. And it's one of those things where I feel like this is a great step in the right direction, because once you get used to playing this game, once it's just second nature, ammo management and taking cover and getting behind stuff and moving around, then you can start to introduce the element of like vertical looking, which adds a whole different aspect to the game. Then you start to add stuff like reloading your gun, and then you add stuff like iron sights or taking cover, things like that, and suddenly the whole thing kind of blossoms out to what we see today. But when you look at this, it's really kind of just I don't know. It's like playing bumper cars with a chainsaw. Like, it's really not all that sophisticated, but it does have a level of charm that cannot be denied even today.
Oh god, no! It's so funny to play this game because like the character animations themselves are just hilarious. Like, there's this one demon who my brother and I were playing on split screen cooperative, and he looked like Tim Curry from the film Legend. Except that whenever he threw a fireball at you, it looked like he was doing a Saturday Night Fever strut. So we just pissed ourselves laughing. And
you talking about the cyber demon?
No, we're talking about the. Did you ever see Legends? Like there was.
Yeah.
He looked like Tim Curry, the demon with the massive horns. It had like goat feet, and he would like throw green fireballs at you that were equivalent to the BFG gun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also, so we would refer to these characters by names we came up with. If you finish the game, then it tells you what all the demons are called. But like you call them, hey, that's Tim Curry's are coming at me. There's the floating testicle and the giant tomatoes. So it's definitely it's really funny playing it again after being spoiled by all the modern first-person shooters.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you stack this up to a modern first-person shooter, I mean, I know that my memory is completely tainted by nostalgia because I played this when I was a kid when it originally came out. But I mean, you probably have a little bit more objective view. Do you feel like there is a value here for people that are just way into modern FPS games?
Well, this game is quite cheap, so you can easily download it from Xbox Live and probably for the PC as well. And if you're looking for just to have an experience of what these older first-person shooters were like, I say definitely grab it. I had way more fun playing Doom 1 and 2 than I did with Doom 3. Doom 3 I found to be boring, crappy storyline, repetitive, and just unfun gameplay mechanics. This is just simplicity at its best. The only thing I ever had a problem with it is that it's a little bit repetitive where you go into some of these levels and it's always find the blue key, find the yellow key, find the red key. Mm-hmm. And the doors don't look like doors, so quite often I'll be lost and I'll be just running alongside a wall, just pressing the X button, hoping that one of them is a hidden door or something. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there's no jump button frustrates you a little bit because you're so used to, if there's an obstacle up to your waist, you can easily jump over that. But not on Doom, you can't do it like that. So you've got to find a way around, whereas in a modern first-person shooter, it would be over much quicker.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, it's been a while since I've played it, so you probably have a little bit better handle on it since you played back through all these just recently. Give us a rundown about the difference between Doom and Doom 2. Like, what's different in Doom 2?
Oh, fuck all, really. I didn't really notice that much difference. I mean, there may be like a few more weapons, but yeah, I got the same feeling that it was the same. I mean, like, maybe a little bit gorier, but it was practically the same game. I think that there was like just barely a year's difference between Doom 1 and Doom 2.
Oh, as far as release dates go,
yes.
Oof, that's a good question. I cannot remember that. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was not. They did not go back in and like revamp the engine or anything. My memories of Doom 2 was there was the double-barreled shotgun, and then there was like 3 or 4 new enemies that came in, and then basically just a bunch of new levels. But because I mean, once again, it was the sort of thing where at the time people were fanatical for Doom. I mean, when this game came out, it was the sort of thing where it was crazy. It was just crazy how much people were into this game between the atmosphere and the action and the multiplayer that, Doom 2 is essentially just Doom 1.5 and nobody gave a shit. They were just like, yes, that, yes.
Yeah.
Put it in my computer now.
Yeah, and then they kept releasing expansion packs, which I had a little bit of playing, and they're pretty much exactly the same as well. I mean, like, so apart from some of the few new weapons and new enemies, there's barely any difference at all.
Okay. Well...
But I'll say one thing. Doom 2 was a lot longer. So, like, Doom 1, I finished in about 4 hours, and I think Doom 2 was, like, double that. I probably would have taken a little bit longer, but I was playing it with my brother at the time, which leads me to my next point. This game may be fun on its own when you're playing on your own, but it needs to be played with other people. That's where the most enjoyment you get out of a video game comes from. Like, because you share the same jokes with each other, the like funny experiences you get, and those times when you get lost, it's easier to figure out the puzzle when there's someone else with you.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So is this just basically vertical split screen play that you're doing?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. And is there also? I mean, I assume that there's deathmatch as well in these releases. I mean, if they've gone as far as putting in split screen, I can only imagine there's probably deathmatch in there as well.
Well, there is a deathmatch, but I didn't play too much into that. I was really going online through the cooperative campaign. Yeah, like, this is multiplayer at its infancy. So for all you multiplayer veterans, I think you should definitely take a crack at this if you can, just for a laugh, and see how different it is compared to the Call of Duty or the Battlefields that you play today.
Let me think. If I can remember correctly, I think that the original version, it was either the original version of Doom or I may be getting this confused, so if I'm wrong, stop me, but I have this very distinct memory of the co-op in the original Doom that you could play it on one computer, but you guys had to share a keyboard. So one person would use like the right half of the keyboard, the other person would use the left half of the keyboard in order to play co-op. I could be totally wrong about that, but I have these really vivid memories of playing a multiplayer game with somebody like sitting right the hell next to you, just elbowing each other like, get the fuck off.
that would piss me off, I gotta say.
I mean, imagine if you used like half of the PlayStation controller and your brother used the other half of the PlayStation controller. And you're like, oh, God.
Oh, we would throw down the controller in a second. Like, we're just like, fuck this game. Seriously. That's my review.
Well, I mean, I guess unless there's anything else that you got to talk about, do you want to give a review of this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll give this a review. But, I mean, my final thoughts on it, it's like... it's available off Xbox Live for a very cheap price, as I'm told. And you could also get this free with the Doom 3 BFG edition. Now, you've probably already heard my Doom 3 review. I didn't really care for it, but I would say that my purchase of that was definitely worth it just based on Doom 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So, based on how much fun I had with this game, it may be a little bit ancient, but that's okay because how enjoyable it was. I've got to give this a full price.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to refrain from review because Doom is just, I don't know, it's kind of like a force of nature in my mind, so whatever you got to pay for it, I think it's good. I said on Doom 3 BFG that I think the inclusion of these two in with that package makes it worth the fairly cheap price that it has, but I am going to say this, God damn it, and I know that you're not going to know what I'm talking about, Nick, and I know nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. Nobody ever knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Here we've got Doom released, the remake of Rise of the Triad. I'm going to say it before and I'm going to say it again. Where the fuck is my remake of The Fortress of Dr. Brainiaki? Get on it, video game industry!